All right, at this time, the court calls cases 627-499 and 627-500. State, you ready?
Yes, Your Honor, state's ready.
Defense, you ready?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. Patricia, you have the papers?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, then we're ready to proceed. Mr. Agustin de Luna, would you raise your right hand? And you are muted right now. Do you solemnly swear that the information and responses you submit in this particular matter, these matters, will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Mr. Luna, you need to unmute yourself. Unmute your phone. You see that little red microphone? Make sure it's gone. They can't hear you.
Oh, you took it off and put it back on.
There you go.
There you go.
Okay.
All right. All right, your response was?
Yes, sir. I do.
Very good. All right, put your hand down, please. Mr. De Luna, before we proceed any further, there's several rights and constitutional protections that you have.
Yes, sir.
And I will discuss them with you verbally. They will be recorded on as part of the official record by my court reporter, Ms. Kayleen Rivera. Then we're going to discuss a series or a group of documents, written documents, and you'll find that the rights and constitutional protections that we'll be dealing with right now, verbally, will be repeated some 2 or 3 times during this process. The first right that I want to make very clear and remind you of is that you have the right to remain silent. That means you do not have to make any kind of statement. You don't have to answer questions, and you don't have to submit papers that have your signature, especially papers that admit or confess to wrongdoing. That is the right to remain silent. Do you understand you have that right?
Yes, sir.
You have the right to a jury trial. That would be 6 people selected between you, your attorney, and the defense, the state attorneys. 6 people from a pool of disinterested jurors who would hear the evidence and decide whether you're guilty or not. That's the right to a jury trial. Do you understand you have that right?
Yes, sir.
You also have the right to confront witnesses. Those are big words. What that means is you have the right to ask questions, challenge, cross-examine any witness who would testify if you went to trial. You understand you have that right?
Yes, sir.
There is a right called the right to appeal. That is a right where you can do it, or your attorney, or the 2 of you together. You can follow the proper methods, the paperwork, and the timelines, the time limits, and demand that a higher court listen to, review the evidence and the official record and what has happened, or the results of this proceeding, for whatever challenge you wanted to make. That's essentially called the right of appeal. You understand you have that right?
Yes, sir.
You also have a right to have this proceeding heard in the public open courtroom. That is not being done right now because of the COVID pandemic, but you still have the right to demand it. What we are doing now with your consent, and that'll come up as we speak, we're doing it by video conference, that is through our computers, and at the same time it is being shown on YouTube so the world can see and hear you and us as participants, including the paperwork and the entire proceeding. Do you understand you have that right to demand a public courtroom hearing?
Yes, sir.
All 5 of those rights that I just mentioned to you that we discussed, those rights you give up if you proceed and insist on entering a plea in this matter. Is that clear?
Yes, sir.
And is that what you intend to do?
Yes, sir. No contest.
All right, that's going to be your plea. But my question is, do you know that you're giving up all these rights if you proceed and enter a plea of no contest?
I'm not too sure what you mean by that. Everything that we talked about.
We talked about the right to remain silent,
Yes, sir.
the right to a jury trial, the right to cross-examine and challenge witnesses, the right to appeal, and the right to have a public courtroom hearing. Those
Yes.
5 basic important rights, those rights are being given up by you if you go ahead and enter this plea. Is that clear?
Yes, sir.
All right. So we're going to show you some paperwork now that's going to be repeating these things in writing. The first document, let me show you first of all that on these documents, all of these with one exception, they're going to have what I call identifying information. If you look at this paper, the document, the first line up at the top says cause number, and it's 627499. The state of Texas versus Agustin de Luna in County Court at Law Number 5, Bexar County, Texas. So that identifies who these papers are all about. Then this one in particular, the title of the document is State's Consent to Video Conference. The title of the documents will be in all capitals, bold print, dark print. Do you see this one here? This is the state's consent. They are agreeing. I mentioned earlier that you and the state both have the right to have this matter in public courtroom. And the state on this document is signed by Ms. Caitlin Morgan, the Assistant District Attorney, saying that on behalf of the state or the district attorney, she's agreeing to do this by video conference. Did you see and understand that document?
Yes, sir.
Now, the second one, the second document, again, has the identifying information. It's repeated. And the title of this document is Discovery Acknowledgement. If you look at the very first sentence, it says pursuant to Article 39.14 of the Code of Criminal Procedure. That is a law that requires the prosecutors to share with you and your attorney all of the information, documents, receipts, videos, whatever there is that is part of the information or evidence in this case, so that you and your attorney are able to make an informed and intelligent decision. This document is signed by your attorney and the state's attorney, that is Mr. Zamora and Ms. Morgan. They're saying by signing this that law has been obeyed. Do you see and understand that?
Yes, sir.
I will be signing that document. Now, this third document, again, with the identifying information repeated, this document is called Defendant's Consent to Video Conference. I mentioned a while ago, you have the right to demand a public courtroom hearing on this matter. And by signing this document, you are giving up the right to do this in a public courtroom, and we're doing it by video conference. Did you review this document and sign it?
Yes.
All right. Now, the next document, again, has the identifying information at the top. This one is titled Defendant's Waiver of Constitutional Rights in Court's Admonitions. This starts off with 3 individual sentences. The bottom line is you're giving up the right for me to have to read to you the official document that accuses you of unlawfully carrying a weapon that is a handgun in a motor vehicle. And then it says, the third sentence, it says, in this cause, I hereby enter a plea of nolo contendere to the following allegation: unlawfully carrying a weapon, a handgun, in a motor vehicle. Is that clear to you what you've said there?
Yes and no.
All right, I want to hear what the no part is.
Okay, the no part is I was not in a motor vehicle. I was, well, you can say a motor vehicle because it was a motorcycle, but I had no place to put this at the time.
Okay, a motorcycle is a motor vehicle, no question. All right.
Okay.
All right, the rest of this document is divided into 15 numbered sections or divisions. Some of them are just one sentence, some of them are a paragraph.
Yes.
Number one tells you what the punishment is for this charge. There's a stack of little boxes vertically stacked, and next to each one is a particular declaration or statement about a punishment level or identifying a punishment. Unlawfully carrying a weapon, as you notice there on the papers, has a check mark that says Class A. That's the level of punishment. That means you can be punished by a fine of $0, no punishment, no fine, all the way to $4,000, and jail from 0 days of jail to 1 year in jail. Did you see and understand that?
Yes, sir.
I want you to read to me number 2, please.
I understand I have a right to a jury trial, a right to cross-examine a witness, and a right to remain silent. I freely and vouchingly waive to give up those rights.
Is that, do you understand that you're doing that?
Yes, sir.
All right. Number 3 says, it's a question about your mental health. Have you ever had mental health problems or issues?
No, sir.
Have you ever been given or taken mental health medications?
No, sir.
All right. Number 4 says that you understand you're pleading nolo contendere, which is no contest, and you're doing it after you and your attorney reviewed the evidence and you got advice from your attorney, and you're telling me on number 4 that you think it's the best deal for you to do that. It's in your best interest. Is that true?
To the agreement that we came upon of. Yes, sir.
Right. Okay. Have you ever been involved with the sex offender registration program?
No, sir.
Good. Number 6, you're making a deal with the state. You've already done that. You've got an
Yes, sir.
agreement.
Yes, sir.
But you need to understand that as the judge, I have the authority and responsibility to say yes or no.
Yes,
I
sir.
have to do that.
Yes, sir.
If I give you a punishment that's heavier than what you agreed to,
Yes, sir.
or if I reject your deal outright, either one of those two, the law would allow you to start all over again, and nothing you've said here in the hearing or that you've signed would be used against you. Is that understood?
Yes, sir.
All right. Now, where were you born, Mr. De Luna?
Monday, I'm sorry, I didn't understand the question.
I'm sorry, where were you born?
Here in San Antonio, sir. San Antonio.
All right. Then the record will reflect that you are a U.S. citizen.
Yes, sir.
Now, all of the rest of these, you read them with your attorney, or he read them for you, and you understand what you're saying and signing. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Number 15 says that you can require or demand that we do what's called a risk and needs assessment. By signing this document, you're telling me you don't want me to stop everything. You want me to go ahead and do this now. And you're giving up that right to do a risk and needs assessment. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
All right.
Oh, I'm sorry. What is that risk in assessment?
All right. I can order that that the professional people here with the courts do a study, an evaluation of you as a person, your character, your makeup, your problems, if any, or what can we do to help you, or what should we do? I can order everything stop right now and have that done. If you want to. If you don't, you want to take care of this now, then we would proceed with you knowing and understanding that you're giving up that risk and needs assessment.
Yes, sir, because I've got a lot of medical issues right now at the moment, and trying to get a part-time job and stuff like that. Just under disability, just really hard right now.
Okay, so do you want me to do a risk and needs assessment for you?
No, sir. I think I can manage through it.
Okay, then you don't want that. All
No,
right.
sir.
Now, the next document here, again, it's got the identifying information. And the title of this one, this is, in a sense, this is me talking. It says Trial Court's Certification of Defendant's Right of Appeal. I'm making this declaration. There's again a stack of little boxes. Next to each one, it says something about the right of appeal. I will be check marking the fifth box, and that says this is a plea bargain case. In other words, you made a deal, and the defendant has no right of appeal. Did you see and understand that?
Yes, sir.
And you signed this document, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
So did your attorney, and I will be signing it. Now, what you're being shown now is, again, identifying information, and the title of this document is Application for Deferred Adjudication. Now, let's talk about that.
Yes, sir.
A deferred adjudication is very, very important to you because, number one,
Are you on it still?
Yes, sir. I'm sorry.
you'll be pleading nolo contendere, which this court takes as a guilty plea. And based on that, I could convict you today on the basis of that plea. But in agreeing to do a deferred adjudication, and I will honor that deal, I will accept that deal, yes. In doing that, I will not convict you or find you guilty. I'll be postponing a final decision. It's called a deferred adjudication, a postponement of a decision whether you're guilty or not. If you live up to 100% of the conditions of supervision, then the case will be closed and you are not convicted of this charge. If you mess up and either fail to live up to the conditions or you refuse to live up to the conditions, then the state can ask me to give you official notice, bring you in for a hearing. And if the evidence is sufficient, then I can find you guilty at that time, convict you, and it'll follow you the rest of your life, a conviction. Furthermore, if that were to happen, then you'd be looking at 100% of the range of punishment, anywhere from up to $0 to $4,000 fine, and jail from 0 to 1 year. Do you understand that?
Yes, sir.
It's very important that you live up to every bit of this deal. And if you do that, the case gets closed and you're not convicted under Texas law. Is that clear?
Yes, sir.
All right. Now, what you're going to have now is what's called a personal data sheet. That's probably the only one that doesn't have a clear identifying information. And it's real simple because this is all of your information about you personally. You are receiving disability. What is the amount that you get, sir?
I get 1,280 or 300, 1,287.
All right. And let's see. You've given us 3 references who can always get in touch with you.
Yes, my sister and my wife and my brother-in-law.
Your Honor, I believe this document is going to have to be redone. If we
I
look
do
at the
too.
third,
I do too.
I'm seeing some stuff here. The first information is incorrect. I mean, that's my email. And there's that other issue on the third reference.
I know. Mr. De Luna,
Yes, sir.
you're making a big mistake by forgetting that this is in court. Your description of your wife is very inappropriate. You understand this is a document that's being submitted to me in court?
Yes, sir.
All right, that's going to have to be redone. Sir. All right, now
I'm sorry.
you
My
have.
wife.
I see what you said. That's like I said.
It was not me. Actually, it was my wife that filled it out.
Really?
Yes,
She-
sir. You
she
want to
filled
talk
that-
to her?
she filled that out?
Yes, sir, you want to talk to her?
No, sir, I don't need to do
Hold on,
that.
Gina, come here.
Sir,
Hey,
Sir,
Mr. DeLuna,
Yes,
the
ma'am.
judge says that's,
Mr. De Luna,
I'm sorry.
that will be redone, that
Yes, sir.
portion. I don't care who did it. It's being presented to me as a judge. I don't accept that. All
Yes,
right.
sir. Yes, sir.
So, you have one dependent, and who is that? Your wife or is that
My
child?
son. My son.
How old is he?
He's 10.
All right. So does your wife works outside of your home?
Yes, sir.
Okay, what does she do?
She's a what do you call it? CNA, nurse's assistant. She helps out at the hospitals.
Yeah, CNA, certified nurse assistant. Okay, very good. What is the, let's see, 2007 Chevy? Okay, no. All right. Next document, please. The next one will be what's called a plea agreement. This document is called a plea agreement. You see that at the top.
Yes, sir.
Below that is identifying information, your name and the case number. Now, the first two boxes will be marked. The first one is, again, talking about the right to remain silent, that you're fully aware.
Yes.
The second box where it says citizenship, it'll be marked showing defendant is a U.S. citizen. Then
Yes,
it's got, it says defendant's acknowledgements. That means you're admitting or you're declaring that the five different statements there have a check mark next to them, that you know what they say and that you're in agreement. Is that correct?
yes, sir.
All right. The next section, it doesn't apply. It's involved DWI, but then the section after that says non-DWI allegations. This says UCW, which is unlawfully carrying a weapon. To that charge, Mr. De Luna, what do you officially plead? What is your plea?
No contest or
That is correct. That's what the document shows. Technically, it says nolo contendere, but that means no contest. Again, I want to remind you that a no contest plea in this court is taken as a guilty plea, and I can convict you straight out right now based on that plea alone. You understand that?
yes, sir.
All right, now, I am ordering you to appear in the offices of County Court at Law Number 5 within 7 days of today. Those offices are on the 4th floor of the Bexar County Justice Center. You are required to submit or have them apply your thumbprint to some of those documents. Do you understand?
Yes, sir.
All right. I find that there's sufficient evidence to find you guilty, but I am honoring the agreement you've made with the state. I do not find you guilty at this time. You're granted deferred adjudication, community supervision for a term of 6 months. You will not apply for early termination of community supervision. You are fined you're fined $300. As a court, I'm going to probate that fine, which means if you live up to 100% of the conditions of supervision, then that $300 fine will be forgiven. You mess it up, then you're looking at a fine all the way to $4,000. Is that clear?
Yes, sir.
You will perform 24 hours of community service. I'm going to change that. I'm going to make that 48 hours of community service because I'm knocking off that $300 fine if you do everything. But I want you to do more community service, since I'm forgiving you, possibly forgiving you $300 fine. Is that understood?
Yes, sir.
Now, because I told you earlier that if I give you a punishment that's greater than what you agreed to, I lowered one side, but I raised the work side where you will do some work. But that's technically a change in the punishment. And you could ask to start all over again, and none of this would count. We'd have to redo everything. Do you understand that you have the right to say, no, I want to start all over?
Yes, sir. Can I ask one question too?
Absolutely.
Okay, I've got a bad back. I just had surgery. I had a replacement on my cup, my shoulder cup.
Mhm.
Is there light duty on the
The community service, I will order that you be given only light duty of those 48 hours.
Yes, sir.
And does that answer your question? Do you have any other question?
No, sir. That's the only question I was asking.
All right. Now, you will make a $50 donation or payment to Crime Stoppers organization. There will be a motion to forfeit to Attorney Zamora the weapon involved in case number 627500. Mr. Zamora, will you identify that, please?
That is a Springfield XD9 9mm black.
All right. Now, I will grant that. You were probably, obviously, appointed to represent Mr. De Luna. Is that correct?
That is correct, Your Honor.
Mr. Zamora, I will give you a choice. You can have that weapon forfeited to you legally and properly, or you can have the payment of the appointed attorney's salary. It's your choice. I want you to decide now.
Go ahead and forfeit the weapon to the state.
To the state?
Yes.
All right. Then you will have the voucher submitted, and we will pay you that, but the weapon will be forfeited to the state. You want to go forward, Patty? Scroll. The supervisory fee will be the minimum by law, which is $25 a month. I'm making some notes here. All right. In addition, as part of this agreement, the court finds and approves that case number 627500 is taken in consideration and it is hereby dismissed. Questions, Mr. De Luna? Any questions?
No, sir. I'm going to report over there to the courthouse for my fingerprint.
Yes, sir. Questions, Mr. Zamora?
After we terminate, if I could please go in a breakout room with Patty Garcia.
Absolutely, no questions. Questions, Ms. Morgan?
Nothing from the state, Your Honor.
All righty.
Good.
Then, Patricia, if you will place Mr. Zamora in breakout when we're through with this thing. Ms. Garcia, you had a question or comment?
Do you want Mr. De Luna to go on breakout with Ms. Luna?
I think, Maricela, you need to do that, right?
Yes, yes, Your
All
Honor.
right. Mr. De Luna, I'm going to place you in breakout with Ms. Luna. Maricela Luna is what's called a court liaison officer.